Okay, am I audible po?
Yes, go.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. We are the group 4, and we will be reporting about the activity 4, which is the naming of organic compounds. Before we get into the naming, we first must know the objective. So the first objective is for us to be able to write the chemical formulas of given name compounds, and the next one is to write the names of given compound formulas. So here we have positive and negative ions. What we're gonna do is to write the correct formulas of the compound formed when the positive ions in the vertical column combine with the negative ions. Okay, so the aluminum carbonate na gawa na yan na explain na ni ma'am. So we'll go to the aluminum hydroxide. So the first thing we're gonna do is to write the symbol, diba? So the symbol of aluminum is Al, and for hydroxide is OH. Next is we write the symbols with the positive with their charges. So ang charge ng aluminum is positive 3, and for OH, for hydroxide is negative 1. And then what we're gonna do next is combine the two symbols with their with their charges, and we add them. Then if the sum is equal to 0, then we copy lang. But this one, since dito sa aluminum hydroxide, aluminum has the positive 3 charge, and hydroxide is negative 1. So positive 3 plus negative 1 is 2, and that is not equal to 0. So what we're gonna do is crisscross. So ang okay, since the combine na, so Al3, OH with negative 1. So ang final answer is Al, and since mababa man yung negative 1 maging subscript, negative 1 or hindi na ilagay, 1 or hindi na ilagay, so Al, tapos open and close parenthesis OH, since fixed na yung symbol ng yung formula ng hydroxide, and then subscript na 3 from the positive 3 charge ng aluminum. Next is for the aluminum nitrate. Same lang, write the symbols Al, then the symbol, the formula of nitrate is NO3, and then the charges for aluminum again is positive 3, and for the nitrate is negative 1. So if we combine ulit natin both symbols and charges, diba, Al3 and O3 with negative 1. Since hindi yung sum ng both charges is not equal to 0, mag-crisscross ulit. So ang final answer is Al, negative 1 or 1 kasi mababa yung maging subscript yung negative 1 na charge ng nitrate, or pwede na hindi ilagay. So, and then open close parenthesis NO3 kasi fixed na yung formula, and then yung positive charge ng aluminum na which is positive 3 maging subscript malagay sa gilid again. So ang final answer is Al, NO3, and 3 yung sa labas. Then sulfide, aluminum sulfide. Dito, okay, diretso na tayo sa charges. So ang charge ng aluminum is positive 3, and for sulfide is negative 2. So if we combine both, the symbols and the charges, Al3 and SO3 with negative 2 na charge. Since ang sum is not equal to 0 again, mag-crisscross. So ang final answer is Al, magbaba yung charge, maging subscript yung charge ng sulfide. So Al2, open and close parenthesis, SO3, since fixed na nga yung yung formula, and then 3 from the from the positive charge ng negative ng aluminum. Then for copper, so ang charge ng ang formula ng copper carbonate is ang carbonate is CO3. And then if we lagay natin the symbol Cu, which ang symbol ng copper is Cu, and CO3 for carbonate. And then the charges, ang charge ng copper is 2, positive 2, it's given already. And carbonate na charge is negative 2. So if we combine the symbols and charges, so Cu 2, CO3 negative 2. So if i-add natin ang charges ng copper and carbonate, 2 plus negative 2 is 0. So as we all know, pag ang sum is equal to 0, just copy the symbols. Just copy the symbol. So ang answer is CO3. Then similar lang yung concept ng copper hydroxide sa aluminum hydroxide. Ang difference lang is yung charges. So U, open close parenthesis, OH, and then 2. Same lang din sa copper nitrate sa aluminum nitrate, but ang difference lang is ang charge, which is 2. So Cu, NO3, 2. And then for copper sulfide, since di ba ang charges ng Cu, ang charges ng copper is positive 2, and for the sulfide is negative 2. Again, if we add 2 charges, it will be 0. So ang nangyari, write lang yung symbols, which are CuSO3. Harid.
So for iron, ang charge ng iron is positive 2.
Harid, di ka marinig.
Nasaan na si Sharveya? Wala.
Okay, anyways, ako na lang po muna.
Okay.
Okay, so for the iron, we have the symbol is Fe. Tapos yung charges is positive 3, as you can see. And then again, the formula ng carbonate is CO3. So ang mangyari, di ba, i-combine na. So Fe3, and then CO3, tapos ang charge ng what do you call that? Ang charge ng carbonate is negative 2. So if we combine ang symbols and charges, symbols and charges, ang charge ng iron is 3. So kung i-add na sila, 3 plus negative 2 is 1. So ang nangyari is, wait lang po. So CO3 Ayan. So, ang nangyari is like Fe2CO3, yung -2 from the, so i-crisscross nga. So, ang -2, nilagay sa, naging subscript ng iron. So, Fe2, and then CO3, open and close parenthesis kasi nga fixed. And then, the positive charge na F ng iron, nagay sa gilid. So, ayun. Same lang din ang concept yung sa copper and aluminum hydroxide. Ang nag-iba lang talaga is ang charge and ang symbol, of course. Same lang din sa nitrate. Kaya ang answer is FeNO3, 3. And for sulfide, ayan, for sulfide, kasi F, so if i-combine na ang charges for iron, so Fe3, then CO3, and ang charges is -2. Again, pag ang sum ng charges is hindi equal to 0, and so maging mag-crisscross, so Fe2, and then open close parenthesis, SO3, and then yung subscript, I mean yung positive charge ng Fe, which is 3, malagay sa gilid. So the answer is Fe2SO3, 3. Wait, Sharbeya.
Hindi pa ulit nakapasok si Sharveya.
Okay po, ma'am. Okay. Next is for lead. So the symbol for lead is Pb, and the charge is +2. Nakita man dyan. And then for carbonate, yun nga ulit, CO3 ang formula. And ang charge is -2. Sa Pb, sa lead naman, since ang charges is both, ang charges is i-add natin ang +2 plus +2 plus -2, it's 0. So pag if ang sum is 0 nga, copy lang ang symbols, so ayan yung answer, PbCO3. For OH, for hydroxide, same lang din sa iron and other elements. And then for nitrate, same lang din. So ang answer is PbNO3, 2. Nag-change lang yung charges. Next, for sulfide na lead, Pb, write the symbol. So Pb, and the charge is +2. And the formula for sulfide is SO3. Ang charge is -2. Again, pag i-add mo natin ang charges ng lead and nitrate, sulfide, it's equal to 0. So ang answer, PbSO3. Next, the potassium. Okay. For potassium, answer is, ang potassium, ang symbol is K. And then the charge is +1. And then, for carbonate, CO3 talaga ang fixed. So, ang charge din is -2 for carbonate. 1 plus, so kung i-add natin yung charges, 1 plus -2, it's -1. So we're gonna do the crisscross. So on okay, yung -2 na charge maging subscript, so maging +2, and then just, and since ang 1 from the potassium, malagay sa gilid, ito sa gilid after ng open close parenthesis ng carbonate, okay lang kung hindi ilagay yung 1. So ang final answer is K2CO3. For potassium hydroxide, okay, so K, diba? And then the formula for hydroxide is OH. Ayan, OH. So ang charge kasi ng hydroxide is -1. And for potassium, it's 1. So 1 plus -1 is 0. So ang final answer is KOH. Sa potassium nitrate, ang potassium, okay, K, let's write na lang the K1, and then ang symbol, ang formula ng nitrate is NO3 with a charge of -1. So again, if we add natin 1 plus -1, 0, so ang answer is KNO3. For potassium sulfide, ang symbol ng sulfide is SO3. Ang formula ng sulfide is SO3, -2. +1 ang charge ng potassium. So, i-add natin ang charges. 1 plus -2, it's -1, so mag-criss-cross. So, malagay yung charge ng sulfide sa maging subscript, ayan. And then, again, katulad ng gigawa sa potassium carbonate, since yung 1, malagay siya sa after ng open close parenthesis ng polyatomic ion, pwede na hindi ilagay yung 1 doon. So, matira na lang is K2SO3. Yun na lang. Yun po. Next.
Oh, wait. Balik sa. Let's check first if tama inyong answers. My only comment for the report is actually, since this is typewritten, you should have made this as subscripts. Kasi the correct format for this, diba, is dapat naka-subscript ito siya. What do you mean by i-subscript dapat? So this should have been written as AL and then 2 sa baba and then CO3 sa baba din. This is also true if you are like writing this in a piece of paper. Do not forget, class, that the numbers should be subscripts. Dapat nasa baba yan sila sinusulat. Reminder lang para example, sa quizzes or sa exam, pag pinasulat ko siya sa inyo sa papel and then file upload siya again, tama yung answer ninyo. Kasi kapag ganito yung the way nyo siya isulat, except for Schoology, kasi I think sa Schoology mahirapan tayo mag-subscript, no? So, kung sa Schoology, I'll accept this one na hindi naka-subscript. Pero kung ipasulat, dapat naka-subscript talaga. But let us check whether your answers here are correct or not. Remember, carbonate is CO3, -2. Hydroxide is OH negative. Nitrate is NO3 -1. And then sulfite is SO3 -2. Now let's start with aluminum. Aluminum is +3. So aluminum plus carbonate. Syempre, AlCO3 yan siya, pero +3 plus -2, dili siya equal to 0. So, muna siya nga mag-criss-cross. So, aluminum will have the 2, while carbonate will have the 3. So, this is correct. How about sa hydroxide? Al +3 plus OH -1. So, we have to do the criss-cross. So, Al will have the 1, pero again, no need to write 1, ha? And then OH will have the 3. So we'll be placing that inside an open and close parenthesis. So this is also correct. Now for this one, Al +3 plus the NO3 negative 1. We have to do the crisscross again kasi dili na siya equal to 0. So Al will have the 1 again and NO3, the nitrate, will have the 3. So sa gawas na siya ibutang. So open and close parenthesis again. So correct also. How about sa sulfite? Aluminum, positive 3 plus sulfite, negative 2. So crisscross again. So Al will have the 2 and sulfite will have the 3 as subscript. So correct. So I hope ang mga non-reporters nakuha pud ni sa inyong submission. How about copper carbonate? Copper is positive 2 here to automatic because that is written already sa iyahang name. That will give you a hint na yeah, copper here is the positive 2. Since remember, copper has 2 oxidation states. So positive 2 and negative 2, no need to do the crisscross. Wait lang ha, kaya na-sign out akong device. Siguro ay nag-open sa ako ang account. Wait lang dyan. Ay. Okay, sige. Okay na. Next. So, by the way, you have questions or nasabtan ni siya ang magbuhat ta og chemical formula. Inalagi ko maka... Ayan. So this is COCO3 here. Again, no need na mag-crisscross kasi parehas sila 2. Positive 2, negative 2. But this one, negative 1 maning OH. So Cu positive 2, OH negative 1. Crisscross sila. That is why copper will have the 1 and OH will have the 2 here. So this is correct. I hope you are listening para pag-abot sa quiz, dili mo magmaliani. Next, copper nitrate. Copper again is positive 2. Nitrate is negative 1. This is positive 2 here. So crisscross also. So 2 will now be for the nitrate. So this is again correct. Now sa copper sulfide. So copper is positive 2. Sulfide is negative 2. Positive 2 plus negative 2 is 0. So all we need to do is to combine the symbol. So this is also correct. Okay, for iron. Iron here is positive 3. So this becomes now iron positive 3 and carbonate, negative 2. So we need to do the crisscross. That is why iron will have the 2. And carbonate will have the 3. So this is correct. Now that is also true for this one. Positive 3, OH, negative 1. Kailangan ta mag-crisscross for this. Kaya dili siya mag-equal to 0. So Fe will have the 1 and OH will have the 3. So this is also correct. For the iron 3 nitrate, so iron 3 is positive 3 syempre. Nitrate is negative 1. So again, crisscross tayo. Fe will have the 1. But again, pag 1 ha, no need to write 1 as the subscript. And then nitrate, we will place that inside the open and close parenthesis and sa labas ang 3 class. Again, the 3 is coming from the iron. And then lastly, we have Fe positive 3, sulfite is negative 3. 3, Fe3, negative 2. Fe3, negative 2. So, positive 3 plus negative 2 is 1. So, we need to do the crisscross, meaning Fe will have the 2, sulfite will have the 3. So, this is also correct. Next, we have lead carbonate. So lead here, from the given, it's positive 2. Carbonate is negative 2. So positive 2 plus negative 2 is 0. So we just have to combine the symbol. So this is correct. Next, Pb positive 2. OH is negative 1. So crisscross tayo. Pb will have the 1 here and OH will get the 2. So correct. And then lead nitrate, we call it lead nitrate, positive 2. and then -1. So crisscross again. So lead will have the 1 and nitrate will take the 2. So correct. And lastly, parehas silang +2 and -2. So equal to 0. So all we need to do is combine the symbols. So this one will be the last one here. Potassium carbonate. Potassium is +1, carbonate is -2. So kailangan tayo crisscross kay dili na siya equal to 0, which means this is K2CO3. So this is correct. Next, we have potassium hydroxide. So potassium again is +1, hydroxide is -1. So +1 plus -1, so this is correct. KOH, kay 0 man na siya. So kailangan lang nato i-combine ang symbols. And next, second to the last, potassium nitrate. So potassium is +1, nitrate is -1. So +1 plus -1 is equal to 0. So just like the potassium hydroxide, we will just need to combine potassium and nitrate. So potassium nitrate is KNO3. And lastly, we have potassium sulfide. Potassium is +1, sulfide is -2. So this is equal to -1. That is why we need to do the crisscross. So potassium will take the 2 here as the subscript and as is tayo with the sulfide. Kasi 1 lang naman, no need to write 1. So the reporters have reported the correct answers for the first part of the activity. Any question? Wala. Walang gusto i-clarify. So let us move on. Reporter, please continue.
Hello. Am I clear po?
Yes, Jeffrey.
Here in writing chemical formula for the following inorganic compound. Number 1, sodium bicarbonate. So first, the sodium symbol, which is Na with +1 charge. And the polyatomic ion is bicarbonate. And the symbol of bicarbonate is HCO sub 3 with -1 charge. So the charges is equal to 0. So let's copy. So the formula now is NaHCO sub 3. Number 2, sodium fluoride. So the sodium with +1 charge and the fluoride with -1. So the symbol is, so the formula is NaF. So number 3, silver nitrate. The silver with +1 charge and the nitrate, which is a polyatomic ion with -1 charge. So they are equal to 0. So let's copy. AgNO sub 3. Number 4, lead for nitrate. So lead with +4 charge combined with nitrate, which is a polyatomic ion, nitrate with -1 charge. So they are not equal to 0. So we're going to crisscross. So Pb, close and open parenthesis, NO3 sub 4. The copper 2 sulfate. So copper with +2 charge combined with sulfate, which is a polyatomic ion with -1 charge. So equal to 0. So let's copy the symbols. So the chemical formula is CuSO sub 4. Number 6, lithium sulfate. The lithium have 1 positive charge and the sulfate with 2 negative charge. So lithium and sulfate have have didn't have zero, I didn't lithium 2. So the chemical formula rather is Li sub 2 SO4, iron 3, chloride number 7. So the iron have positive 3 charge and chloride with negative 1 charge. So it is not equal to 0. We're going to crisscross. So FeCl sub 3. Number 8, silver perchlorate. Silver with positive 1 charge, and the perchlorate, which is a polyatomic ion with negative Ag, silver with 4 charge, and the perchlorate with negative 1 charge. So we're going to do the crisscross. So the chemical formula is AgClO sub 4. Number 9, tetraphosphorus heptasulfide. The phosphorus with 4 atom, so P4, and the sulfide with 7 atoms, so S7. The chemical formula is P4, P sub 4, S sub 7. Number 10, disulfur tetrafluoride. Disulfur with S and sulfur with 2 atom, and fluoride with 4 atoms. So the chemical formula is S2F sub 4. Number 11, mercury 2 phosphate. The mercury 2 and the phosphate with negative 3, and they are not equal to 0, so we're going to crisscross. So now the chemical formula is H sub 3, close and open parenthesis, PO4 sub 2. And then the carbonic acid. In naming carbonic acid, there are rules. And the rules first is we need to look for the root element of the acid. So the root element of acid is carbon. And then we're going to add ATE to become carbonate. And the carbonate is a polyatomic ion with a symbol of CO3 negative 1 charge. So, and we're going to add H in the first place because it is an acid. So H with hydrogen with negative 1, plus 1 charge is not equal to 0. So the formula is H2CO3. Number 13, nitrogen tribromide. Nitrogen with negative 3 charge, and bromide with 3 atom. So NBr sub 3. And then the nickel 2 chloride. The nickel with 2 charge and chloride with minus 1 charge. So we're going to do the crisscross. So the chemical formula is NiCl sub 2. So in number 15, gold 3 iodide. Gold with plus 3 charge and iodide with negative 1. So not equal to 0. So the chemical formula is AuI sub 3.
Okay, before tayo mag-continue, balik sa muna tayo sa last number 1. Okay, let us check so that the other non-reporters will also know whether these answers are correct or not. So let's have the first one here. The chemical is called sodium bicarbonate, or that's what we call the baking soda. So ang gagawin natin, the first step is to write their symbol. So sodium is Na, and then bicarbonate class is a polyatomic ion. I hope by this time you already have your index cards containing the list of the polyatomic ions with their names, symbols, and charges. So pag sinabing bicarbonate, that is HCO3. Ang 3 is a subscript, ha? And then that's the first step. The second step is to identify their charges. So sodium belongs to group 1, thus ang charge niya ay -1. While the bicarbonate is -1. So if we add the charges here, +1 plus -1, this is equal to 0. And what are we going to do if this is equal to 0? We just need to combine the symbols or the formula. So this becomes now NaHCO3. So definitely their answer is correct. Now, let's move on. Sodium fluoride. So sodium again is Na. That's the first step. And then fluoride represents fluorine, right? Fluorine, pag fluoride, kaya nag-end sa IBE, meaning that's a single element. Now, how about their charges? Sodium kanina is +1, so this is still +1 here, while fluoride belongs to group 7A in the halogen. So all of them have -1 as the charge. So +1 plus -1 is still equal to 0. No need to do the crisscross dash. So we just need to combine the symbol. So this is how you write the chemical formula of sodium fluoride. So I hope by this time, class, hindi na kayo nahihirapan in making the chemical formula of our compounds. So sundan nyo lang yung tinuro ko sa inyo na steps, and please be familiar with the symbols of the elements. Nevertheless, you are always allowed to use number 1, your periodic tables, and number 2, you are also allowed to use your index cards for the polyatomic ions, because we have so many polyatomic ions that it will be hard for us to memorize everything, including their charges. So pwede nyo talaga siyang gamitin. Next, we have the silver nitrate. So the symbol for silver is Ag. Again, Ag. And then nitrate, remember, also is a polyatomic ion. So this is NO3. That's the first step. Write the symbols. Next, the second step is identify the charges. So silver, class, saan nyo ba nakikita si silver? When you look at your periodic table, you can see silver at the center, meaning it is a transition metal. But when we had our discussion last time, I told you that silver is an exception to the rule na +2 ang mga transition metals, because silver is only +1. +1 lang yan siya. I hope naka-take note kayo nun. And then nitrate is a polyatomic ion with a charge of -1. So +1 plus -1 is equal to 0. So then again, you don't need to do the crisscross, just combine the symbol. So this is now the correct chemical formula for silver nitrate, AgNO3. So do not forget, class, that the numbers should be written as subscripts. So dapat nasa baba yan sila. Dili sila parehas kadako sa imuhang mga letters. Now this is lead, L-E-A-D. Let's just correct the spelling. It's lead, L-E-A-D, and the symbol for lead is Pb. So do not forget, dili ni siya capital letter, ha. This is small letter. That's the symbol for PB. If nakapital nyo yan siya class, mali yan siya automatic. We really have to follow how the symbols of the elements are written. So lead, and then here comes nitrate again. So this is still NO3. Next, typo lang siya. Sige. And then, lead class. Take note, naka-open and close parenthesis. So this is telling you now that lead is positive 4. If that is the case, that there is a Roman numerals just beside the name of the element, automatically that will be its charge, because lead class is included in the list of the elements with more than one oxidation state. So positive 4 siya, and then nitrate again is a polyatomic ion with a charge of negative 1. So positive 4 plus negative 1, syempre positive 3. So this is not equal to 0, which means this is the time we'll do the crisscross. So lead will take on the 1, but again, no need to write 1. And then nitrate will take the 4. But since this is class a polyatomic ion, we will use the open and close parenthesis. We will place nitrate inside this, and then the subscript will be outside. So this is 4. So this is correct now. Typo lang daw ang capital letter, but this is PbNO3. 4. So this is still correct. Okay, next, copper 2 sulfate. So copper is Cu, and then sulfate class is a polyatomic ion, that is SO4. So copper there, since naana siya open and close parenthesis and then may Roman numerals inside, that means that is the charge of copper, that is positive 2. Now sulfate is negative 2. So positive 2 plus negative 2 is equal to 0. So again, no need to do the crisscross. This is CuSO4. So this is correct. Next, lithium sulfate. The same process. Wala nagabago atong process ha. Lithium is Li, sulfate is SO4. Ayan, sulfate is SO4. Now, how about their charges? Lithium belongs sa group 1A, which means ang charge niya ay positive 1. And then sulfate, just like the number 5, this is negative 2. So positive 1 plus negative 2 is negative 1, which means we have to do crisscross here. Meaning yan, lithium will take the 2. So mahimo na niyag subscript ang 2 class. And then idugtong natin si sulfate. So again, no need to write open and close parenthesis if 1 lang naman ang subscript ng ating polyatomic ion. So this is also correct here. Number 7, iron 3, chloride. So we have Fe for iron. Chloride is chlorine, so Cl. Now how about their charges? So we have here the charge of chloride, which is positive 3. While chloride is negative 1. So positive 3 plus negative 1 is positive 2, which means we have to do the crisscross here. So Fe will have the 1. So again, no need to write 1 ha, pag 1 lang talaga ang subscript niya. And Cl will take the 3 as the subscript. So the correct answer is FeCl3. Thus, this is also correct. So any question about the first half of the second portion of the activity? Anyone? You want to clarify something about your answers or your submissions in the Schoology? Wala?
Wala po.
Okay, so I hope by now you have understood the process of making the chemical formula of our compounds. Now let's have the next part. Ayan, so from 8 to 15. Let us see if they have also gotten the correct answer. We have the first one, silver perchlorate. So silver again is Ag. And perchlorate is another polyatomic ion with a symbol ClO4. Okay? ClO4 yung ating perchlorate. Now, how about their charges? Silver is +1. Perchlorate is -1. So this is equal to 0, which means we just need to combine the symbols AgClO4. Thus, this is correct here, the silver perchlorate. Next, tetraphosphorus. This is phosphorus. Again, this is Tetraphosphorus heptasulfide. So as you can see in the given, we have the prefixes tetra and hepta. So definitely this is an example of a compound which contains non-metal and another non-metal. So this is much more easier, this is much easier to write, I mean the chemical name, kaysa sa metal plus non-metal. Kasi kung ano yung element dyan, for example, phosphorus, you just write the symbol and automatically the prefix will be the subscript. So tetra means 4, so this is P4. And then sulfide is referring to sulfur, so that's S. And hepta means 7. So this is correct. P4S7. Now, number 10, another non-metal plus non-metal, since we can see there that this one uses prefixes. So we have disulfur, so syempre S, and then di means 2, so that will be the subscript now. And tetrafluoride, so F for fluoride, and tetra means 4. So this is S2, F4. So this is still correct. Okay? Now, number 11, mercuric phosphate. Mercury 2 phosphate. So mercury class is Hg. And phosphate is a polyatomic ion. This is PO4. And then the next step will be to write their charges. Mercury 2. So this is automatically +2, while phosphate is -3. So +2 plus -3 is -1. Thus, we need to do crisscross here. Hg will get the 3 as the subscript, while phosphate, which is a polyatomic ion, will get the 2. But we need to write open and close parenthesis and sa labas ang 2. So there, the reporter's answer is also correct. Now, carbonic acid. So Jeff mentioned a while ago the rules for the acid, the naming for the acid. So for the acid class, actually, pag sinabing carbonic acid, ang ibig sabihin yan, meron siyang hydrogen. And then, pag nag-end yan siya sa IC, it means it is coming from a polyatomic ion that contains 8 in its ending. But you just need to take note of the element involved in the acid. It's carbon. So we will just combine it with the 8 ending, which means ang iyahang ang component, another component aside from hydrogen there is the carbonate. That's how you write the chemical formula for an acid. So again, the acid there refers to the presence of hydrogen. So we have hydrogen here. And then the IC ending refers to a polyatomic ion that ends with 8. And then unsay dugtong ana niya ang element involved in the acid, and that is carbon. So hydrogen and carbonate. Yan yung mga components natin for this acid. We can also do the steps afterwards, like we can actually write their charges. So positive 1 for hydrogen. Always write the first element. The first element should be the positively charged because you know that carbonate is negative 2. So una gid na ha pag magsulat gani mo chemical formula, naunang sinusulat yung positively charged. Okay? And then after that, positive 1 plus negative 2. This is negative 1. So we need to do the crisscross. Yes, Jendi. You have questions.
Sorry.
Okay. So let's do the crisscross here. H will take on the 2. Okay, and then CO3 will take the 1, so don't need to write 1. So this is not the correct answer, H2CO3. Okay? So I hope you listened how to write the names for the acid. Next, nitrogen tribromide. So you have there again the prefix. So meaning this is between non-metal and another non-metal. So all we need to do is to write the symbol, nitrogen. And kung wala siya prefix class, it means automatically it's 1. Pero kung 1, no need to write 1 as the subscript. Okay? And then tribromide. Bromide is Br. That's the symbol. And tri means 3. So this one here sa baba. So, subscript na niyang tri. So, this is correct also. So, dalawa na lang before hapit na tamahuman sa atong activity. So, nickel to chloride. Nickel is a transition metal and naa siya more than 1 na charge. So, this time makita na ito nga nickel class has charge there na positive 2. But nevertheless, nickel is Ni and chloride is Cl. So this is again positive 2 and chloride is negative 1. So positive 2 plus negative 1 is equal to positive 1, which means we need to do the crisscross here. So nickel will have the 1, no need to write 1, and chloride will take the 2 as the subscript. So this is correct, the correct chemical formula of nickel chloride. So we are down into the last one, the gold iodide. So gold is Au, right? Au. And then iodide, we are referring to iodine. So only I lang na siya. Now how about the charges? We have 3 here, which means gold is positive 3 and iodide is negative 1. So positive 3 plus negative 1 is positive 2. Crisscross syempre. So thus, Au will take the 1. No need to write 1. And iodine will take the 3 as the subscript. So AuI3. That's the correct chemical formula of gold iodide. So very good reporters for the perfect na score din his sa second part. Okay, next. Let's have the last part of the activity. We'll be doing the reporting.
Vera.
Po ba ko, ma'am?
Who was talking a while ago?
Devera po, ma'am.
Okay, sige, Eliza.
Write the chemical name of the following inorganic compounds. So number 1, AlPO4. Al is the atomic symbol of aluminum, kaya naging aluminum siya. PO4 is a polyatomic ion, kaya naging phosphate siya. Then Ca is calcium, open and close parenthesis, C2H3O2, then 2. C2H3O2 is also a polyatomic ion, kaya naging acetate siya. Then number 3, Mg is a atomic symbol of magnesium. Then S for sulfur. Since sulfur is a non-metal, we use the IDE po sa last, and because IDE is used for non-metal, kaya magnesium sulfide po. And then number 4, AgCN. Ag is for silver, Cn is a polyatomic ion, kaya naging cyanide siya. Kaya naging silver cyanide. So number 5, Fe is iron, then N is nitrogen. Then since nitrogen is also a non-metal, we use IDE sa last. Then the positive 2, we do a crisscross here po. Kaya nalipat yung positive na charge sa iron. And then number 6, KOH. K is potassium, and then OH is a polyatomic ion, which is the hydroxide. Kaya naging potassium hydroxide. So number 7, NBr3. N for nitrogen. Bi, since kailangan natin gumamit ng mga numerical prefix dito, 3 is tri, di ba? Kaya naging tribromide. And bromine is also a non-metal, kaya naging IDE yung last, kaya naging tribromide. Number 8, KMNO4. K is potassium, MnO4 is permanganate sa polyatomic ion. And then number 9, Sn is tin, Cl is chlorine. So we do a crisscross here, kaya nalipat, kasi both non-metal, kaya nalipat sa tin yung 4, yung positive 4 na charge. Then chlorine is also a non-metal, kaya naging IDE yung last. Naging tin, positive 4, chloride. Number 10, P2O5. P is a phosphorus, then may 2 siya, kaya we should use a numerical prefix, which is the kaya naging diphosphorus. Then O is oxygen. Oxygen is non-metal, kaya naging pentoxide. Then yung 5 is yung pen po, kaya naging diphosphorus pentoxide. Number 11. Gel, number 11 na gel.
Periodo. Wait lang po, ma'am.
Okay. Where is Rojisa?
Nagpaalam na, sabi niya sa akin kanina, ma'am, may scheduled brownout daw po sa kanila. Ngayon,
Sige. Okay, while waiting for Jeff, CR sa ko kadjut ha, I'll be back. Okay, if you are ready to continue, just continue, ha?
Wait lang po, ma'am, kasi si Mariado nag-try daw talaga siya po. Wait lang.
Okay, sige.
Hello. Number 50, number 11.
Okay.
Iron FeSO4. So that's iron, and the polyatomic ion sulfate with negative 2 charge. So crisscross. So that would become iron 2 sulfate. Number 12, that's Na sub 2 CrO4. So polyatomic ion, which is chromate with negative 2, and Na with negative 1, plus 1 charge. So crisscross, so that become sodium and chromate. Number 13, Hg sub 2s. I don't know, ma'am, kung paano nakuha itong sulfanyl mercury, but my answer is mercury 2 sulfide.
Okay, sige.
Yan sabi ng Google. Number
We'll check
14,
later.
BaCO3. So that's barium and carbonate with 0 equal charges. And so that's barium carbonate. Number 15, Ag sub 3 PO4. So polyatomic ion, which is phosphate with negative 3, since silver with 1 positive charge. So that would become silver phosphate. Thank you. That's it.
Okay, so let us check from 8 to 15 if you have wala pa na to na humano from 1. Sige, let's go back sa number 1. So what is the format for naming here? Always remember that you need to check first whether it is a non-metal plus a non-metal or a metal plus non-metal. So include natin sa non-metal si polyatomic ion, class. Let me write sa screen first. Ayan. So all you need to do is to actually, if it is between a metal and a non-metal or metal plus a polyatomic ion, you just need to write their names. Like aluminum, just write the name aluminum, and PO4 is the symbol for phosphate. So i-combine lang natin and that's automatic the name, aluminum phosphate. Okay, aluminum phosphate siya. Now, this one is true also for number 2, calcium. Yes, calcium, Ca. And C2H3O2 is the symbol for acetate. So, regardless whether they have subscripts or not, as long it is between a non-metal and a non-metal, or in this case, a polyatomic ion, always yan siya na just their pure names. No need to write the subscripts. I mean, to name the subscripts. Automatic talaga yan siya. Now, magnesium sulfide, this is correct. We don't have the polyatomic ions here now, but we only have single element. So Mg is magnesium and S is sulfur. But remember, if it is a single element, instead of writing sulfur, you have to change the ending into IDE. So that is why this is correct, magnesium sulfide. Okay? So I hope you will not rely sa Google when it comes to the naming and even the chemical formula. Because for example, during the quiz or during the exam, we have class monitoring na way or process if you are looking at Google or not. And then actually, mabalaan pod na mo sa inyuhang answers, like later kung nag-Google ba mo or wala. Because we are just learning here the basic naming and the basic na pagbuhat sa chemical formula. And if you are not going to learn this heartily, class, if ever we will be going back to school and we'll have the face-to-face na class, what are you going to do with that? You are not allowed to use cell phone anymore in our class sa personal na face-to-face. So dili na mo pwede mag-Google. So what are you going to do with the naming and the chemical formula kung wala ninyo siya gitarong og tuon? Next, we have AgCN. So Ag is silver. So definitely it's a metal. So we are not going to use prefixes here. And Cn is a polyatomic ion called cyanide. So this is correct, silver cyanide. Again, pag metal plus non-metal or polyatomic ion, all we need to do is to write their names. Names nila coming from their symbols. No need to write the prefixes. Okay? And then for single na non-metal, single element, we'll just change the ending sa IDE. So how about this one, Fe3N2? Remember, Fe is one of the elements na ay more than one na charge. So Fe3N2 man na siya. Unsay meaning ana? The 3 here is supposedly kay nitride. So this is -3. And the 2 here is supposedly kay iron. Kay diba, nag-criss-cross ta to get the Fe3N2. So to write the name of the Fe3N2, please write the charge of iron. Always remember na tay mga elements na duha ang charge. So para correct ang inyuhang naming, you have to be familiar with them. So iron 2 nitride na siya, sagikan ang 2. To check whether it is +2 or +3, we take back their subscript. Kay Fe3N2 man na siya, ibalik na to ilahang mga subscript and we'll see that iron here is indeed +2. So that's how we identify na yes, 2 di ay ang charge ni iron and that we will include this sa iyahang name. Next, number 6, potassium hydroxide. So potassium is K and hydroxide is another polyatomic ion with a symbol of OH. So potassium hydroxide. Automatic na potassium hydroxide. Now this one, NBr3, though nahatag na siya kagainan, naulit lang na siya. But nevertheless, you have to take note na kailangan sa ninyo i-check whether it is between a metal and a non-metal or a non-metal plus non-metal. So remember class, nitrogen is a non-metal, bromine is also a non-metal. So this is the time that we will use the prefixes. So in this case, we only have one nitrogen. So this is just nitrogen here. Remember, pag first element, tapos only one atom lang, no need to use the prefix mono. So manayin yung tandaan. Pag first element, tapos isang atom lang talaga siya like this one, no need to use mono. So just write the name of the element, nitrogen. And then we will use the prefix on the second element. So we have bromine here and my subscription na 3. So that is tri. And then bromide, just like the non-metals here, we need to change the ending with ide. So instead of bromine, we'll call it bromide. So this is also correct. Nitrogen tribromide. Okay, nasabtan ba to? Questions so far about this? Sa naming?
None, ma'am.
Okay.
ma'am.
Sige, next. Let's have the last part. So here we have Cmno4. So definitely potassium is correct here. And then if you look at your list there for the polyatomic ions, you will see the permanganate. Permanganate is MnO4 -1. So you can just write the name potassium permanganate automatically. Okay? So ano man na siya? Metal plus polyatomic ion. So automatic na ang naming. Next, SnCl4. So Sn is tin. So just write tin. And then do not forget na si tin is included in the list of the elements with 2 charges. It can be +2, it can be +4. Now, how are you going to check that? We will go back to the chemical formula, and instead of writing the subscripts, we will be doing the reverse crisscross, meaning yung 4 dyan, ibalik natin dito, and then yung 1, ibalik natin sa kay chloride. That's how you will know kung ano ba talaga ang charge ni tin. Okay? Kasi dalawa yung kanyang pwedeng maging charge. So as you can see here, when we do the reverse crisscross, you will see that tin is indeed +4. So lagay natin siya inside the open and close parenthesis, and Cl is syempre chlorine, but we'll change the ending sa IDE. So tin chloride. Okay? I hope nasabta na siya at masundan na ninyo paano nato nakuha ang iyahang charge nga gisulod nato sa open and close parenthesis. Let me remind you, we will only use this one if the element na given is included dito sa duha ka buok ang pwede na charge. Pero kung isa lang gyud ang iyahang charge plus, no need to write the charge inside the open and close parenthesis. Okay? So next we have P2O5. You can see there that P, phosphorus, is a non-metal and oxygen is also a non-metal. So in naming, we are really required to use the prefixes. So the first one is phosphorus, but it has a subscript of 2. That is why we need to use di. So we call it diphosphorus. And then the next element is oxygen. And remember that the second element always ends with IDE. So this is now called as the oxide. And then what is the subscript? 5. So for 5, ang atong subscript is pent. Now, ang akong instruction sa inyo ha, if the first letter of the name of the element is a vowel, don't just use pent. Idiretso na nato siya. Pent plus oxide is yes, pentoxide. Pero pag ang element, ang starting niya kay consonant, that is the time we use the penta. So again, this is a vowel O here. So that is why we just use the prefix pent. Okay? So that is correct. Diphosphorus pentoxide. Now for irons, FeSO4. So is this correct? Iron, yes, correct yan siya. And SO4 is sulfate. Pero remember, iron can have two charges, +2 or +3. Now, how do we know? We will just reverse the crisscross. So, parehas sila class na walang subscript. Pero kung if we look at the charge of sulfate, that is -2. Which means, kung wala sila subscript class, this is equal to 0. Which means Fe2 here is +2. Muna wala sila mga subscript. Kaya nahimo naman siya 0 dinhi. Kung -2 si sulfate, meaning +2 si iron. Which means tama ito siya, iron to sulfate. Next. This one, sodium, and then CrO4 is a polyatomic ion called chromate. So, bisan pag naay subscript si sodium class, we don't name the subscript if it is between non-metal plus polyatomic ion. So, sodium chromate. Now, this one is an indication that you used Google when you answer this given. This is how we know, class, as teachers, whether you named the element na kamo lang ang nag-name or na-google mo. Kaya pag i-google na ninyo, mugawas yun na si mercurius, sulfanyl, mercury. Pero wala na ko na siya gitudlo sa inyo ha sa basic na naming. Sa basic na naming, ingon ko sa inyo, just name the elements. And remember that mercury is a non-metal and sulfur there is a non-metal. Sorry, metal ni siya. Remove the N. This is a metal and a non-metal, which means, di ba, pag metal plus non-metal, just name the metal. Metal is mercury. So you should have written here mercury. Tapos, S is sulfur, but then again, the second element should end with ide. So this is called sulfide. So mercury sulfide. Pero before na siya mo decide ka nga final answer na, remember that mercury can have two charges, +1 or +2. So what are we going to do here? We will do the reverse plus reverse niya nga crisscross. So, di ba naaman ni 2 din si mercury? I-reverse na to siya. Sulfide is -2. And then, wala man ni siya subscript 3. 1 man niyang subscript, meaning +1 na siya. Meaning, mercury here is +1. So, ang final name ni mercury is, ni Hg2S is mercury 1 sulfide. So, muna siya. That's how you name it correctly. So, mabalaan din na siya pag-abot sa quiz kung kinsay na Google. Kay mugawas yun ang mga pangalan na mga complicated na. That is the basic naming for this Hg2S, mercury 1 sulfide. And that is the IUPAC name. That's the rule set by the International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry, na mauna siya ang correct name sa chemical. Kasi remember, ang chemicals nato na ay common name, na ay mga trivial names. So mauni siya class ang ginatawag nato og systematic name because we are following a system set by IUPAC. Okay? So I hope nasundan. So again, ang correct answer din ha is mercury 1 sulfide. Now the next one, BaCO3. Ba is barium and CO3 again is a polyatomic ion called carbonate. So all we need to do is to combine the names, barium, carbonate. That is also true with number 15, Ag3PO4. Silver is a metal, so we automatically name that as silver. And regardless whether na siya 3 nga subscript. So again, pag metal, we don't use the prefixes. And then PO4 is your phosphate. So combine the two names. Thus, Ag3PO4 is called silver phosphate. Okay? So that is all for activity number 4. Any question for this part of the activity? Anyone? I hope you really listened ha kasi during the quiz and the exam, I will not be considering those names that are coming from the Google, the common names and the trivial names. I will just be accepting the systematic names. So, kabalaan na siya. Number 1, nag-exit mo sa quiz or sa exam. Number 2, ang pangalan niya inyong gisulat, dili, mao. Okay? So, mo na nga, I am expecting you na nag-listen sa atong discussion. Walay pangutana?
Nan, ma'am.
Okay.
ma'am.
Napabay next reporters? Conclusion? I would like to hear Sharvea cause I cannot give a score here kung wala siya naka-report. So take note nga, if it is your schedule to do the reporting, you really have to do your own report kay I'm giving grades individually. Si Sharvea.
Ano
Meron
na po, ma'am.
Okay, can you give your conclusion sa experiment 4? Sa activity 4 yari.
So, conclusion. For this activity, we have familiarized the concept of naming chemicals from given formulas and writing formulas from the given chemical names. In addition with that, we have appreciated the rules since it was helpful in the process of naming chemicals and formulas.
Do you have additional conclusion for that or wala na mo lang to?
Wala na po, ma'am. Kasi sum up namin yung conclusion po namin.
Okay. Sige. So that's it, reporters? Wala na? Is this the last one?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sige, pwede na kayo mag-unshare ng screen. So I will not be giving